Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on the board's Business Information System, or BIS, project kickoff. This project is going to be a real game changer for our stakeholders, and we're excited to share the details with you today as we continue our efforts to make the board better for workers and better for business. I'm Pam Barnhart from the board's Communication and Outreach Unit, and in today's session, you'll hear from Board Chair Clarissa Rodriguez, Executive Director Mary Beth Woods, and the BIS Project Leadership Team, Tim Purcell and Angela Mahoney. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping items. We ask you to please keep your phone lines muted as we will be using the chat feature to receive your questions today. Please enter your questions throughout the presentation in the chat box located on the right-hand side of your screen. Use the drop-down to send your questions to the host. You can also hover over the WebEx tab at the top of your screen and click on Chat. We will answer as many of your questions as we can, but if you have questions we don't get to today or think of something after the session ends, we'll be providing you with resources at the end of the presentation. At this time, I will now pass it over to Clarissa Rodriguez, Chair of the New York State Workers' Compensation Board, to kick things off and walk through today's agenda.
Hello and Happy New Year, everyone. As Pam said, I'm Clarissa Rodriguez, Chair of the New York State Workers' Compensation Board. Thank you so much for being here and for your interest in the board's latest Continuous Improvement Initiative, the BIS Project. I'm so happy to report that the development of our new and improved claims system is underway. As we continue to innovate our processes throughout the use of technology, this new system will replace our multiple legacy paper-based claims systems with a single web-based platform, offering improved and expanded access to claims data, self-service interaction with the board, and a greatly reduced reliance on paper forms. This new system will also interact closely with other board systems, including our successful Virtual Hearing Center that was implemented in 2018. We are committed to partnering with you, our external stakeholders, throughout this project to gain critical input to ensure that our new system addresses your needs. Your involvement is critical to the success of this system as we continue to make the board better for workers, better for business, and better for you. Today's webinar is the first step in this expansive communication effort. For today's session, Mary Beth Woods will start by providing an overview and a quick history of the BIS project. Next, Project Director Tim Purcell will share the status of the project's goals, as well as what benefits you will see once the system is implemented. Then, Project Manager Angela Mahoney will discuss our project methodology and what this means for you over the next few years. Finally, we will then use our remaining time to answer questions submitted to us through the chat. Again, thank you for joining us today and partnering with us throughout this exciting multi-year project. We look forward to hearing from you and greatly appreciate your input. Without further ado, I will now turn it over to the board's Executive Director, Mary Beth Woods.
Thank you, Clarissa, and good afternoon, everyone. We're excited to kick off 2020 by sharing details on our BIS project, a system upgrade that is part of our Business Process Reengineering Initiative. As Clarissa said, this new system will replace the current legacy paper-based systems with a single web-based platform. It will offer new features and benefits which will continue to build upon our goal of making a difference with technology. The BIS project follows other successful technology initiatives such as virtual hearings and accepting online payments. First, let's start with some context. In 2013, the board kicked off the Business Process Reengineering Initiative with the goal of delivering benefits more effectively and efficiently in a manner that benefited both workers and businesses. As many of you may recall, we reached out to stakeholders early and often throughout the course of the BPR projects, and we will be following suit with the BIS project communications as well. The BPR outreach efforts yielded a series of initiatives including virtual hearings, updated medical fee schedules, performance standards to improve payer compliance, and improvements to the dispute resolution process. The final piece to this puzzle is what we're here to talk about today, and that's the updating of the board's internal and external systems, which we're referring to as the BIS project. This project began with the selection of CapTech as the board's implementation partner in 2019, and we officially kicked off the project in mid-2019. After months of planning, I'm excited to now pass it over to the BIS Project Director, Tim Purcell, who will be sharing some details on the goals of the project and how the system upgrade will affect each of you.
Thanks, Mary Beth, and welcome everyone. The BIS project is by far the largest undertaking within our BPR portfolio. Similar to virtual hearings, on a much larger scale, the project also represents the board's continued commitment to delivering world-class digital government solutions, transforming the citizen experience. The new system will leverage a proven, state-of-the-art web-based framework with data-driven workflows. Expanding upon the board's e-claims initiative, the BIS project will include the replacement of paper-based form submissions with electronic data capture, bringing about true transformational process improvements for all system participants. The board systems are overdue for modernization. These paper-based legacy systems are almost 20 years old and no longer adequately address the changing functional and informational needs of the board and our stakeholders. The system integration across our multiple computer systems is inadequate. Current web-based systems such as eCase are extremely limited and do not support the full needs of our stakeholders. In order to interact and request action with the board, stakeholders often require strong knowledge of workers' compensation forms, rules, and laws. Lastly, forms that are submitted and scanned are often inaccurate and hard to read, causing delays in the process. The goals for the BIS project are to improve your stakeholder experience while increasing overall claims processing efficiency. The new system will streamline both our internal and external processes and offer greatly increased transparency for all stakeholders. For example, many external stakeholders for the first time will have direct web-based access to claim information based on secure user roles. The new claims system will offer exciting elements, including new, intuitive, and user-friendly features for interacting with the board. For example, parties of interest may opt in to receive immediate electronic notifications when new information is placed into the case folder. Also, the use of paper forms will be replaced with electronic, wizard-based forms, also known as e-forms. E-forms and other methods for collecting and validating data, as opposed to scanned images of forms, will result in vastly improved system responsiveness to stakeholder needs. Let's walk through some of these new features and how this will benefit our stakeholders. For injured workers, the focus is on ease of use. For the first time, this process is happening entirely online. An easily accessible website allows an injured worker to easily create a login to file a claim. That same worker can log back in later to verify the receipt of documentation and understand the current status of their claim and check on pending documentation requests. This paperless initiative will allow injured workers to submit their information online, view their real-time status, and watch their claim progress through the process. Our goal is to make the process simple, fast, accurate, and effective. Of course, injured workers who prefer to file paper forms with the board may still do so. For attorneys and licensed reps, the focus is on saving time by replacing eCase with a new web-based system with greater access and features. Complete access to the case file will continue, with new features such as the ability to access and download hearing recordings without having to contact the board. Within the same web-based system, while viewing your case information, users will have the ability to electronically submit a request for action with real-time data validation and placement into the case file. Other parties to the case may opt in to receive electronic notifications when new information is placed into the case file. For employers, the focus is on saving time and money. Using the updated system to access real-time claim status, employers can understand where the claim is in the process, what e-forms need to be submitted, and the next step to completing the claim. E-forms are able to be submitted through the system, so no longer do you need to complete a paper form, fax it, and wait to see if it was accepted. The e-forms are available online and will be submitted in real time. As I previously mentioned, the e-forms will undergo a validation during submission to provide immediate feedback if there are errors that need to be corrected, again, saving time in the process. For healthcare providers, the focus is on ease of use. Building on the medical portal and the CMS 1500 projects, healthcare providers will also have expanded access in the new system that will allow them to view claim status and medical-related information in the case file. For payers, the focus is on saving time and money. Transactions will be easier and faster by using our new paperless approach. Processing time will be reduced by having the data available directly in the system rather than manually referring to copies of paper documents. And the related Claims EDI 3.1 initiative will also contribute to a higher accuracy, leading to more accurate resolutions. Let's talk about form submissions today. As I mentioned earlier, our current legacy systems are designed based on paper forms, as we show here on this slide. Although most of our forms are available as both paper and electronic PDF, the large majority of our forms come to us as scanned images, with minimal data capture available to efficiently drive workflow within the system. Our current PDF-based electronic forms are completely siloed from our claims systems during form submission and therefore lack robust data validations. The new system will leverage wizard-based electronic submissions, or e-forms, which will be completely integrated within the claims system as opposed to our current siloed environment. Now let's take a look at the future state for submissions. The e-form wizard will walk the user through what action is needed and what fields need to be completed. End user and organizational information will be flooded onto the e-form, reducing data entry keystrokes. As mentioned earlier, upon submission, all data will be validated immediately, with errors returned to the screen in seconds for immediate correction by the user. Upon successful submission, the data will be processed immediately and placed into the case file. The new system will be data-driven, resulting in what we call straight-through processing. What this means is upon successful validation, the e-form data will flow through and update the system automatically, whether that's the updating of a record or the generation of a notice or a work request. The data is populated, the output is generated, and the information is added to the case file. I'd like to take a moment to discuss the concept of using computer APIs for the submission of high-volume e-forms. This will be especially valuable for payers. An API is an application programming interface that allows organizations to communicate electronically from one computer system to another. APIs include real-time data validation, confirming acceptance or rejection of the transaction. Today, many payers have systems that automatically generate board forms based on their own claim workflow procedures and computer systems. The board is developing an API which payers will use instead of generating board forms. This will require software changes to payer computer systems, but will allow payers to introduce significant efficiencies within their own workflows never before available due to the old paper-based processes. Now I'll pass it off to Angela for a walkthrough of our project approach.
Thank you, Tim. Hello, everyone. As mentioned earlier, this is a multi-year project where we have partnered with CapTech, a management consulting firm with expertise in claim systems in other states similar to New York. I'll now share our overall project approach to give you an idea of the process, timeline, and the engagement plan. The early part of the BIS project involves a view of the many requirements that were listed in the original request for proposal, RFP. CapTech is working with the board to review each of these requirements to develop a system to meet both external and internal needs. We are breaking down each requirement into bite-sized chunks, allowing us to focus on specific functionality to develop and then test through a series of iterative development cycles. Iterative development allows for transparency, as we can share news with you early and often on what the new system will look like, how it will work, and what changes you can expect. Iterative testing helps to mitigate technical issues prior to the implementation of the new system. Once tested, we will be able to then communicate the process and system changes to you through regular ongoing engagement. We will be consistent with the transparent two-way communication through the life of the project. We will be offering a number of opportunities to be engaged in the project through surveys, focus groups starting in February, other webinar opportunities like this one, testing, and when the time comes, training. Be on the lookout for opportunities to participate with our team. Details will be provided in a later slide on how to stay connected. Keep in mind, we will not be releasing the new system until the end of the project in 2022. But if we can make any process improvements early, we will work to do so. There are a number of project teams that focus on specific jobs and responsibilities. The process analysis team reviews the requirements provided by the board, captures additional requirements, and then shapes the process to meet the needs of the board and all of our stakeholders. They assist in developing user stories, develop scripts for requirements testing over the life of the project. The user experience team drives the look and feel of the system. They focus on the presentation, look and feel, web components, and how the screens flow. This includes mobile devices as well. The system development team is who builds the system, including both hardware and software requirements. While the user experience team develops what you, the user, would see, the system development team creates the structure and functionality that allows the system to work for you to navigate it successfully. And our organizational change management team will drive overall education and adoption of the new system for all stakeholders. This includes all communications, outreach, and training that is scheduled to occur over the duration of the project. I also would like to make mention of the work being done to update our eClaims platform. As an early component, setting the foundational data pillars for BIS, plans are firming up to move our eClaims platform from the International Association of Industrial Accident Boards and Commissions, or IAIBC, 3.0 release to their new 3.1 release. The board filed a notice of intent with IAIBC regarding our plan to upgrade the eClaims EDI platform to this new release on March 15, 2021. We are working closely with CAPTEC, ITS, our New York State Technology Agency, and the IAIBC as we formalize our injury reporting data requirements related to the new data elements available in the 3.1 release. We are conducting training on EDI for claims administrators in late March, early April in Syracuse in conjunction with IAIBC, and communications were provided to our data partners containing updates and timeline information. If you would like to stay informed on the progress of this upgrade, please visit wcb.ny.gov and search eClaims. There are instructions on this web page to sign up for eClaims email notifications as well. If you have any questions about Claims EDI, you can email eclaims31@wcb.ny.gov. Before we conclude today's presentation, I want to make sure you're aware of the methods to stay informed on BIS project news and upcoming engagement opportunities. You can visit the website at wcb.ny.gov/BIS to stay up to date on project news. You can also sign up to receive project-related news straight to your inbox. This is how we will be communicating future webinars and other engagement opportunities throughout the course of the project. Visit the BIS project website on your screen and click the Get Involved and Stay Informed section to sign up. Questions, comments, feedback can be emailed to bpr@wcb.ny.gov. Just note that when the official name of the new system is released, we will be creating a new email box, but for now, the BPR address can be used. You can also follow the board on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. A recording of this webinar is going to be placed on our YouTube and BIS website, as well as FAQs spawned from the questions being asked during this webinar series. So keep an eye out for these resources, as well as a follow-up email and survey. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time and your interest in the BIS project.